Welcome to all of you. It's my extreme pleasure to have this conversation with all of you on this budget of 2021. As I talk to you on the budget, it reminded me of the last 40 years or more than 30 years of watching the budget. So, in the late 80s and early 90s, we used to have the budget at 5:30 p.m. on the 28th of February in a pre-internet world. And in that period, as most of you know, from the 70s, when we had taxation rates of 97% and customs duty rates of 60 and 70%, gradually every budget used to provide a situation where the rates used to come down. And it used to be very interesting that in every budget, there used to be a situation where income tax rates and customs duty used to come down. It was a pre-internet world. So to get a copy of the budget document used to be very interesting and difficult. And we all used to earnestly wait for Mr. Nani Palkiwala's budget speech and his comments on the budget, which used to come a few days later because we were not in an internet world at that point of time. So we are in a different era now, and everything gets discussed immediately and responded immediately, and the budget is on the 1st of February and in the morning. So it's a very different world. So in 2008, financial crisis brought a different dimension to the budget. Because what happened was at one point of time, there was this whole concept of austerity. And in 2012-13, many people said that US will be going bankrupt and US government is going to go bankrupt and there's overspending. So during that period, actually, I got the chance as part of being a CIO of ICICI Mutual Fund to understand this whole concept of austerity and government fiscal deficit. And I was shocked to know that fiscal deficit is not a bad word. Because there was a person called Richard Koo who works in Nomura who taught me that you can't have a situation where government does not spend, people do not spend, and companies do not spend. So last year when COVID happened, I realized what Richard Koo kept saying. Once COVID happened, all of us were actually glued to our houses and we could not spend. Companies could not spend because they could even not get people to their offices, the people. So you had a situation where neither could companies spend nor could people spend. And therefore, it was only the government who could spend. And it is very important in this period, like what Richard Koo spent, that the government's fiscal deficit has to expand significantly. And there is absolutely no limit to the extent that the government can spend, because neither are people able to spend because we are all sitting at home, nor anyone else. And that is something which we learned from 2012-13. So what did the government and the Reserve Bank do intelligently? First, what they did was that they brought down interest rates. Bringing down interest rates gave a very big fillip to the economy, because all of a sudden you had today a situation where home loans came to the lowest ever interest rates that I have seen in my life. And all the top corporates of India were borrowing for 3 months at 3 and 3.5%, and 3-year money they were borrowing at between 4.5% and 5%. That actually gave a lot of benefit to the economy, and these were all decisions taken by the Reserve Bank of India. What the government had to do at that point of time was increase fiscal deficit. Yesterday's budget was a phenomenal opportunity to continue that situation, because there is an important indicator called current account deficit or current account surplus. Current account surplus of any country reflects whether a country is saving or overspending. If a country is making current account surplus, it means that between the people, the corporates, and the government, we are excess saving. For the first time in the year 2020-21, there was a current account surplus that India had, which means that actually there was huge scope for the government to increase current account fiscal deficit and actually increase their deficits. And that was done yesterday in the budget. And because that was done in the budget, it is an extremely positive step, because when you have a situation where people are doing excess savings, corporates are doing excess savings, it is the requirement of the government to spend. And yesterday, when they increased the fiscal deficit to 6.8% of GDP for the year 2021-22, they were doing what is their mantra: spend when others are not spending. And that is why the equity markets reacted so positively in the last 2 days. Is that something that you can do for the next 10, 20 years? Certainly not. In 2012-13, when US increased their fiscal deficit, was it the right thing to be done there? Yes, because at that point of time, US people were saving extra, US corporates were saving extra, so it was required for the US government to spend extra. Like that, now it is required for the Indian government to spend extra. By spending extra, the economy improves, and by economy improving, stock market improves. And that is the kind of situation we are in at this point of time. What does this mean for all of you as investors? What it means is, clearly equities becomes a very good short-term asset class, and equities do very well in the short run. And that is what we've been seeing over this period. All the way from October onwards, you would have seen that equities has been doing extremely well, primarily because you have a situation where the economy is improving month on month with the support given by the Reserve Bank and the support given by the central government. The combination of the two is resulting in a situation where equities is doing very well. You have corporate earnings which are very good because the economy is improving, and that leads to a situation where corporate earnings leads to a situation where people are happy with the corporate results, so people buy the stocks, and that creates what we call a virtuous cycle. That virtuous cycle leads to equities doing very well at this point of time. On the other hand, if you look at the debt investments, we are in a situation where between 2017 particularly and 2020 June, July, in that period, we actually always used to tell investors, invest in debt mutual funds to get outsized returns. And that phase has ended, because when you have a situation where the government is increasing fiscal deficit in a significant way to stimulate the economy, the Reserve Bank has actually cut interest rates very, very significantly. The interest rate cycle has almost ended. And when that is almost ended, the scope for outsized returns in debt mutual funds has come to an end. And today, as you know, the rates that you get in any of the interest rate bearing products is very low. And that is the kind of returns that people can get in most of the debt instruments at this point of time. So what can investors do in debt mutual funds? They can invest in short duration. For example, ICICI Prudential Floating Rate Fund, ICICI Prudential Ultra Short Fund, ICICI Prudential Savings Fund. And if you want to invest for a 3-year period, you can consider products which do invest, like ICICI Prudential Medium Term Plan or ICICI Prudential Credit Risk Fund. The riskometer of these products could be different, and the yield to maturity that they invest in is higher, and the credit risk they take are slightly different, but you will get slightly different kind of returns as what you will get in the first set of products. But here you can invest with a 3-year view, because these are all products which are designed to be invested with a 3-year view rather than with a shorter term view for most investors. But as investors know today, if you go to any financial institution and ask for an FD at this point of time, you are likely to get low interest rates. Whereas in 2017, if you've gone to the same financial institution and asked for a fixed deposit, you would have got a different interest rate. And those interest rates have fallen sharply, primarily because there is excess saving in the economy. And that is the reason why interest rates have fallen. And this is not an India problem. This is a global problem. In all other countries of the Western world, you get zero interest rates. In India, at least, you still get interest rates, which are there. Those interest rates are certainly different, but at least they are not zero like what you get in most of the other countries of the world. So that's the kind of situation. Does debt play a very important role in every investor's product range? The answer is yes. And whereas equities in March 2020 did not give you protection from capital, and that's why there is a requirement for investors to consider debt mutual fund, and that's why in the riskometers also debt mutual funds come with a very, very different riskometer. Over the last 10 years, as a mutual fund and in this budget also, clearly, debt mutual funds have become less popular, primarily because, once you give a big fiscal boost to the economy, interest rates go up. And in the last 2 days, interest rates have gone up. And interest rates going up is going to be a global phenomenon, in my opinion, over the next few years. And that is going to be something which we are going to see across the world. You have seen it in US, you have seen it in India as well. And that is one of the reasons this view on debt shows up. So, over the last 5 years, one of the things that we have been actually trying to popularize are products which invest in both debt and equity for that reason. And we call it uh, dynamic asset allocation products. Because what we feel is, there is a challenge because you take today's situation in debt mutual funds. Debt is an interesting asset class, but in the near term, they're not delivering returns. They are much safer. But if you invest in a combination of debt and equity, equity is much more riskier. But in the recent past, they have been delivering good returns. So why not mix both and have a dynamic asset allocation construct? And that kind of a product is what we have been actually recommending to most people across. So there are people who like equity taxation, and for them, we have actually been popularizing a product called ICICI Prudential Balanced Advantage Fund over the long run, because what we think is that that kind of a category where you're invested in both debt and equity uh, gives with the equity taxation gives investors a much more pleasant experience, because people like equity taxation and the residual is invested in arbitrage. And if you take the last 3 months, the equity would have provided the returns in it. The debt would not have delivered returns in this product. On the other hand, there are people who like debt taxation. For them, we have created a product which involves equity, debt, and gold, because there are people who like gold also in this product. That category, which we call fund of fund, where we have actually put debt, equity, and gold, which is ICICI Prudential Asset Allocator Fund of Funds. It takes positions both in equity funds, debt funds, and it invests in gold ETF, is one of the more interesting things, but it has debt taxation, and therefore people who invest with a more than 3-year view are the people who can get long-term capital gains tax model. Otherwise, they have to pay short-term capital gains tax because it is a debt fund of fund. That is the kind of structure that is there. But why do we like these categories? Because what we think is, in the near term, debt is not the category which can give very good returns. So looking at equity, I think equity is a fabulously interesting asset class. And the last 1 year after being a fund manager for 17 years, I can tell you the last 1 year has been the most difficult. Normally, in 1 year, we see either a bear market or a bull market. But in the last 1 year, I've seen an extreme bear market and an extreme bull market. And to have an extreme bear market and to have an extreme bull market in the same year has been very, very challenging for us. The other interesting thing that I've seen is that in the first part of the bear market, we had all the so-called quality stocks do extremely well. So if you look at companies belonging to the FMCG sector, they did extremely well in the first 4-5 months of the year, the last 1 year. And after that, they have not done well. On the other hand, if you look at it, Some of the sectors like metals, for example, they did extremely badly in the first 5 months of the last 1 year. And after that, they've been doing extremely well. So if you look at financials, they didn't do well till August, September. And after October, they've been doing extremely well, the banks, for example. So actually, the last 1 year has been the most challenging period from a fund manager angle, because you have seen bull markets, we have seen bear markets, we have seen bull markets in some sectors, then we have seen extreme bear markets, we have seen some sectors do well, then do very badly, we have seen some stocks do very well, then do very badly. And this has been very, very fascinating if you ask me as a fund manager. But where do we go from here? We have had actually, in the 17 years that I've been a fund manager, I've seen two big cycles. One was a cycle from when I joined in 2004 till 2008. And then I saw a cycle which almost has gone from 2008 till 2020. In the first cycle between 2004 and 8, there were all these cyclical sectors, which is infrastructure, metals, banks, or auto. All these kind of sectors did pretty well. In the period between 2008 and 20, it was sectors like FMCG, paints, quality retail banks. All these kind of sectors did very well. And I believe that in the period after 2020 March, we seem to have gone back to the sectors which have done well from 2004 to 2008. That cycle actually started in 2002-3, and again, if you look at it, that kind of a cycle where many of the other sectors started to do well, which are banks, metals, capital goods, infrastructure, some of the small caps, mid caps. These kind of sectors have again started to do well. It looks like we are back in that kind of a cycle at this point of time. For this kind of a cycle, you need government support in the form of a lot of investment from the government. You need a situation where the central government fiscal deficit has to expand. The central government has to be putting a lot of money to work. And we seem to have a very, very supportive situation at this point of time. And that's why I think we are back to that kind of a cycle. Now, for the 12-year period from 2008 to 20, in that period, the valuations of sectors like consumer staples, they kept on going up. And what we're seeing now at this point of time, it is not that the consumer staple stocks are falling, but they're not doing as well as the markets have done. And that's not because those companies are bad quality or something like that. It is just that they are, in fact, some of India's best companies. But those stocks are not cheap. And in the view of my guru, Howard Marks, there are cycles which play out. Now you have a cyclical cycle which plays out. And I think today we are in that kind of a cycle. So what did we as an asset management company do is that, about a few months back, we launched ICICI Prudential Business Cycle Fund, and which was one of the largest NFOs ever in Indian mutual fund history. And I must thank all of you for having supported that NFO. And despite COVID and despite all the challenges of COVID, many of the investors, many of the wealth managers, many of the mutual fund distributors, all of them have supported and made this one of the most successful new fund offers and made it successful. And our goal in that whole exercise was that we felt that, these business cycles can come. You can have one business cycle which is focused on the cyclical sectors. Then after that, it can go back to quality sectors. And the advantage for us as a fund manager is, if we feel that we are now going back to the quality era, we can look at switching the portfolio from the cyclical area to the quality area at a different point of time. And that is the advantage that we can do with this fund. And we think that, thank you for all the support that you did at this point of time. I must also thank all the investors and the mutual fund distributors and everyone, all the registered investment advisors over the last 1 year. If I had told you in 1 year back that, We will not be able to come to office. We will have to operate virtually. We will have to declare NEVs every day. We will have to make all the payouts on time. We will launch 3 new fund offers on the equity side. We launched 3 new fund offers: ESG, Quant, and Business Cycle. Every payment for every day will happen at the appointed time, despite offices not being open. I would have never thought it possible. But I must really thank all of you for switching to a digital mode of working in such an amazing way. And I must thank all the entire Indian technology teams across all the organizations. And I must thank the entire systems, whether it is telecom, whether it is the different technology systems that have been created across organizations, which all helped us to run our organizations and ensure that the mutual fund industry could continue to grow and continue to ensure that there was not a single day delay in any payout of any fund offer or any payout or any pain or anything like that. And I think that was the biggest achievement that would have happened. I was just thinking that go back 20 years back, if there was an event like COVID, would it have been possible for a payout to happen on time? The reality was it was not possible. But the extent of strides that the technology industry and the telecom industry and the kind of strides that each of you as investors have managed to change by adopting to technology, by adopting to apps like iPruTouch, adopting to a situation where you're comfortable using all these apps to make payments through various internet banking channels. It was just amazing. You adopted in the last 1 year, do it. And I think all of you deserve a big clap for all this that was done, because I would have not imagined it was possible. In March, when a total lockdown was imposed, I was wondering how it would move, but it was just amazing how Indians managed to move forward in it and did such a brilliant job on this whole area. I mean, I'm not talking about all the other work that has been done by everyone else, like the health workers and various other people, of course, even more than all of us. But I'm now sticking to what we have done in the industry, like all of you. And that's clearly the situation. So I think clearly we are moving to a situation where we are going to have a cyclical rally. And that cyclical rally involving many of the sectors which did badly for the last 10, 12 years is going to do well. There are many sectors in it which can do well. Many of those sectors are reasonably cheap also. If you look at many of the banks, many of the metals, many of the capital goods, many of the power utilities, many of the construction names, all of them were very, very reasonably valued compared to the costlier sectors in the market. Now let's come to the risks. See, we have been only talking about the positive side. What is the reality of where we are? The reality of where we are is this entire bull market has been created, in my opinion, by the good work done by the central banks along with the governments. This has happened in my opinion, by a large way by the US Fed along with the US government. At some point of time in the cycle, and I don't know whether this will happen in 1 year, 3 or 5 year, when it will happen, and there will be a fairly large dose of inflation. And when that large dose of inflation happens, it will be necessary for the US Fed to tighten significantly or increase interest rates or stop quantitative easing. And it may be necessary at that point of time for the US government to withdraw all the stimulus that they have done. At that point of time, I expect to see a meaningful market correction. When it will happen, I do not know. And it's very difficult for anyone sitting in India to predict when this will happen. And I believe that risk does exist. And unfortunately, the challenge for any Indian fund manager, particularly for all of us at ICICI Prudential Funds, and who are interested in ensuring that the investors who invest with us have a good experience, it is impossible for us to predict it. So, what can you do about it? Ensure that you have a large amount of your money in asset allocation funds. That is the only way in which you can ensure that you can minimize your damage. There is no way debt is going to give you the best returns. But once the US Fed tightens, as and when they tighten, and which is not in the hands of either ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund or any fund in India or even Reserve Bank of India, at that point of time, I expect to see a meaningful correction. And the only way you can manage that is by having a very sensible asset allocation strategy, by having adequate money in equity, adequate money in debt, particularly short duration debt, and having maybe some small money in gold as well. And that is the only way in which you can manage it. Is it possible to predict the timing? It is not possible to predict the timing. Is it possible to look for things which can worry you? Yes, certainly yes. You can look for how does oil price move up. I think if oil price starts shooting up, I think that is one indicator that we have to worry about. There is something called US Treasury yields. If US Treasury yields today are about 1.1% on 10 year, if they start to shoot up, I think that is another scope for worry. The third is US Indian current account deficit. In 2011, 12, 13, Indian current account deficit had gone out of control. And when Indian current account deficit had gone out of control, that was a clear risk that we could see. In fact, as I told you at the beginning of this conversation, forget current account deficit. We have a current account surplus in the year 2020-21. If you have a current account surplus, you have nothing to worry about US about it as much as what we had to face in 2011, 12, 13 when dollar went from 45 to 68. But what the indicators, therefore, to watch for all of you is what I call the 3 C's. First is crude. Certainly, you have to watch crude. The second is US Central Bank. And the third is Indian current account deficit. These are the 3 C's that you have to watch, and you have to keep watching them on a continuing basis. It is not something which will be clear. It is not arithmetic that you will know when this happens, tomorrow the next problem will happen. In fact, Indian current account deficit started to go up way back in 2010, but the problem started to happen from 11 to 13. In that period also, 2012 was a rip-roaring bull market. So there is no specific formula which you can be used, but these are the 3 indicators that I believe that one should use. But in my opinion, at this point of time, equities and therefore asset allocation strategies is a great way to look at it. And I believe that at this point of time, given that you have had one of the best growth-oriented budgets at this point of time. Why did the government go for a growth-oriented budget? Because I believe that they recognize that, the stimulus that they have given in the past was not sufficient. And for about 4-5 years, we used to have a corporate credit problem. The corporate credit problems have become much, much smaller. When interest rates came down, a lot of real estate also started getting sold. As you know, in October, November, December, we had one of the highest ever sales of real estate in Bombay, for example. So what they realized is that many of the older problems of the economy, which was the corporate credit cycle and even some of the stuck real estate, both were becoming smaller. They felt that at this point of time, if you give a good stimulus to the economy through allowing a higher credit cycle, you can actually create a situation where the economy starts booming. And there is one big advantage. India is such a structural growth engine that by chance, if you start moving to fourth gear, maybe even if other places start slowing down and other places have problems, maybe Indian growth may continue. And that is how maybe they are looking at it at this point of time. So one of the other lessons I must tell you based on my investing experience, it is in bull markets that the biggest mistakes get made. It is not in big bear markets that the biggest mistakes get made. We are in a bull market. We are in a boom market. In a boom market, people tend to forget discipline. In my 31 years of working, I've seen people forget discipline in 1999. I've seen people forget discipline in 2007. I've seen people get too exuberant on small caps in 2017. So right now, clearly we are in a bull market in equities. So in equities, how do you stay disciplined? You stay disciplined by practicing asset allocation. That is the best way to stay disciplined, because equities is such a great asset class that there is no logic in coming out of equities lock, stock, and barrel. And one of the things I've learned from my experiences, there is nothing to suggest that there is one particular price point at which the market tops, because none of us know what is that price point. But if you're disciplined and you are gradual about everything, you actually have the best experience. People who decide that I will sell all my stocks at one price or I'll remove all my equity allocation at one price, they have never had a good experience. Whereas people who have been gradual, they have actually had the best experience. I watched the 2007 cycle. In 2007 cycle, there were people who got out of equity early. They re-entered equity at the wrong time. So based on that, what we did was we created a category called Balanced Advantage Fund. In that fund, everything we do gradually. We do nothing on one day, because what we realized was equity markets, you can never determine the top of equity. You can never determine the bottom of equity. And it is impossible for anyone to determine either the extreme top or the extreme bottom. But if you're gradual, you will definitely have a better experience than what you can get by deciding that this is the top and this is the bottom. And this is my learning. So it's very important going forward, given where we are in the market, it's very important that we should all be disciplined. And we have created very interesting product categories which allow people to be disciplined. And that is the way forward. In our opinion, debt is not an asset class which will give you near-term returns. At the same time, there are very interesting low-cost products which can actually protect capital in the near term. And in the long run, they can be used as important funding asset classes to invest in equity at a later date. So debt has a very important role to play from that point of view. And that's where it is. As a mutual fund industry, we have created very interesting categories. For example, in the last 3 years, we launched a number of interesting fund of fund schemes. For example, we created a category called ICICI Prudential Thematic Fund of Fund. We created a category called ICICI Prudential Global Advantage Fund of Fund, where we invest in other AMC schemes as well. And because we don't have all the international products within our own basket, so we said, why not invest in other AMC schemes as well? So we created a product called ICICI Prudential Global Advantage Fund of Fund. Based on, if you look at the product, you'll find that we have invested in many of the other AMC's products as well. Because what we found was it is impossible for any individual investor to decide when to invest in Japan, when to invest in Asia, when to invest in US, etc. So we said that it's best to collect money in one scheme and we take the decision on how to invest in US or Japan or Asia, etc. To the extent that we know, and that's how we look at it. And so we've created such interesting, challenging, and very, very fascinating products. And thanks to SEBI, we have such a wide variety of interesting products, and therefore we can have most of the wallet invested in very interesting saving schemes for all of you. And wishing all of you a very, very happy, healthy, and prosperous years ahead with disciplined, careful investing in products of ICICI Prudential AMC. Thank you all for participating in this call. Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.